Welcome to the Painter Growth Podcast, where we help you scale your painting company in record time. Join us as we explore sales, marketing, hiring, finances, leadership, and more, everything that you need to know to scale and grow your painting business. I hope you enjoy and subscribe. What's up, everyone? Michael Hickman here, founder of PainterGrowth.com, and you're listening to the Painter Growth Podcast. In this episode, I'm going to help get you set up for a killer 2026. Right now, we're sitting December 2025, and you need to start planning. It's now time to start planning in order to have a good 2026. If you wait until January to start your plan for 2026, you're already behind the eight ball. You're already not going to achieve your best. As business, as life slows down in December, we need to use this time to reflect, respond, and create our goals and our priorities for next year. So if I asked you, what's your revenue goal, profit goal, and crew count by December 2026? Do you think you could answer in one sentence? Most painting owners can't. They're busy, they're booked out. But if you looked under the hood, there's no real plan. There's just hustle. So in this episode, I'm going to walk you through the simple way to map out your 2026 business plan so you're not just hoping next year is better, but you're actually engineering it from the ground up. Okay. So we're doing this right now with Painter Growth. We do this every single year, and we're getting much better at it. It used to be a pretty informal process. Now it is a quite formal process. My leadership team and I are flying or meeting in Vancouver, Canada next week on Monday, Tuesday for a two-day offsite to plan 2026. You know, everyone has had prep. We've had several meetings about getting ready for it. It's an expensive meeting for us to have because there's going to be 6 of us, basically, removed from our families, removed from the business, removed from everything, travel, hotels, all that for 2 days. And we need to make sure that we get a good output from it. And that output is essentially, the decisions that we end up making. So, I want to walk you through kind of our planning process, what we do, and then how you can apply that to your painting business, whether you're just getting started or if you're already doing a few $1 million per year. Now, the first thing that we need to do to really design 2026 is to understand what actually happened in 2025. The data, the numbers, the stats, without emotion, without bias, what actually happened. So starting top line, what was your 2025 revenue? It's December. We can assume if everything trends, we can get pretty close, probably within 1 or 2% accuracy on how we're going to finish this year. So what was our 2025 revenue? What was our true net profit? So after paying ourselves a fair market salary, how much did the business actually make? Now, depending on your business size, if you're in the multi-millions, you want your net profit after you pay yourself to be between 15 to 18, maybe 15 to 20%. And if you are a smaller business, that net profit should be a little bit higher. So maybe 25, as high as 30%. So what was your average monthly revenue in your busy season and your slow months? And what I want you to do is put this in a spreadsheet so you can see month over month and ultimately graph it. So once you understand your numbers, your revenue, your profit, then we can see how many jobs we actually produce each month, what our average job size was, what our best projects were, what our worst projects were, and who our highest producing crews were. Okay. Now, once you have your main top line numbers, now we're going to get into capacity and production. So how many full-time painters or crews did you run on average? And then approximately how much revenue did each crew generate per month? And then overall. And then I really like to know also gross profit, specifically in service, trades. We talk gross profit as well at Painter Growth, coaching revenue. So there's a lot of similarities there, but for your business, gross profit. So how much money did you make after paying labor and materials? Because it's not a revenue game. It's ultimately a gross profit game. And then it's up to you to manage your monthly overhead expenses to see how much additional, where you can be tight in order to maximize net profit. But if you don't have gross profit as an input, you're not going to be able to run a profitable business. Then in that capacity and production section, where did production break down? So did you have certain crews that had more callbacks than others? Did you have different types of projects that went over on production, on materials, on budget, on timeline? Then we can get into marketing sales. So where did the work come from? Was it referrals, Google, Facebook, yard signs, builders, property manager, realtors, or did we not even have any of this tracking in place. So if you don't have the tracking, you should write that down. Get better lead attribution, better lead tracking. But if you did understand where revenue came from, if you can get to average job size per revenue source, per lead source, that's going to be a super valuable metric. And then which channels gave you the best jobs and the best margins? And finally, how many estimates were you getting per week on average, and what was your close rate, or what was your sales rep's close rate? So we're still getting our historical data. Okay. So far, we've gone through our numbers, the capacity and production, marketing and sales. The next is the people in your team and the role of you as the owner. So reflecting back, number one, how much time do you spend on the brush versus selling versus managing? How much time do you spend working in the business versus working on the business? If you're not using a Google Calendar like religiously, then it's going to be really hard to do this. But if you do use a Google Calendar, it's really easy to go back and actually add it up. And as a little side note, if you do use a Google Calendar religiously and it's an accurate representation of what your weeks actually look like, you can take screenshots of every week, upload them to ChatGPT or Grok or whatever, and just have it help you analyze your effectiveness as a leader, as a manager, and where you could kind of be getting your time back. What key positions do you have and what positions were missing? So do you need a production manager? Do you need an estimator? Do you need an office admin? And where did people issues cost you money or worse yet, cost you sleep? So what were the biggest holes or gaps in your business that made things more chaotic than they should have been? And don't worry about like cost of the roles or anything like that yet. Like we'll get there. But right now, just reflect back on your business, on your life, what went well, what didn't go well, and how can we improve? How can we fill these gaps, fill these bottlenecks? And then once you've been honest with yourself about 2025 and you filled all this in on a single spreadsheet and you're able to look back at it and analyze it, you now have the raw material to be able to design a 2026. So with 2026, the first thing that we like to do is create a revenue and profit target. So we like using what's called the profit first business plan. And I'm going to share this with you at the end of this podcast here, but I've shown it before, but essentially what it is, and if you can just look at my screen, if you're driving or whatever you're doing, just like take a little minute and look at this. It's going to be important. So basically what this tells you is based on how much money you want to make and the role you have in your company, it maps out your marketing and your production plan for the year. So let's say we want to make $300,000 in profit. $300,000. And you want to have a production manager, but you still want to do the sales yourself. So cool, 300,000. We have about 14,000 a month in overhead. That's 15% approximately. We have 6K for a production manager. We're running a 50% gross margin. That means we need 541,000 of gross profit, or $1.08 million in annual revenue, brings you to 90,000 a month with a 28% net profit. Cool. So in order to make this business, if this is your goal for next year, you want a production manager, you want to make 300K in profit, we need to build this business. So now we'll put in our average job size, our close rate, and our lead conversion rate. So average job size, let's say we're a little bit smaller. Let's say we're 5,500 average job size, 38% close rate. Actually, I'm going to go 40% close rate. And then we'll keep lead conversion rate at 70%. So in order to make that business real, we need 16 jobs a month at a 40% close rate. That's 41 estimates a month, 70% lead conversion. That's 59 leads a month. So now we know that at least the plan that we need to create, we need to generate 59 leads per month. Then finally, hourly charge rate, or for your production plan rather. So let's say we have a $90 an hour charge rate. That means we need 1,000 hours a month. That means 233 hours a week. That's 6.5 painters. 162,000 annual production per painter, 81,000 gross profit per year per painter. So this is where we need to get to in terms of our production plan. We need to get up to 6.5 painters. So how do we want to do that? Do you want to do 2 crews of 2 and a crew of 3, or maybe a crew of 4 and a crew of 3, whatever makes the most sense for you and your projects? But now we know we need to get to at least 7 painters in order to achieve this goal. So that would bring us then to get to our production plan. Now we can start mapping out when, and where we're going to start doing this. So now that we've kind of looked at our profit first goal, we can even get more aggressive. Like, what if we want to have a PM and a sales rep? Higher overhead, 40% gross profit because we have 10% for sales rep. Now that we're looking at 1.5 million, so there's all the production and sales math for that. And again, at the end of this podcast, I'm going to show you how to get this profit first business plan and have us actually create a business plan for you in your business. So we've looked at revenue, we've looked at capacity and crews on how much we need to do. And now we want to look back on our historical job data and figure out what our average job size was and what type of job mix we want. Do we want residential? Do we want commercial? And how much of it do we need? So in order to hit that, $91,000 per month, that was in our example goal, how much of that's going to be residential? How much of that's going to be commercial? And then based on that, that's going to determine our marketing plan. And you can even take that now, if we know how many jobs per month we need, how many estimates per month we need, how many leads per month, we can start creating our week by week marketing plan. And so we actually have this in our workbook that we provide to our owners here. I'm just going to share another slide here. Sorry, another resource. So this is our workbook, but the thing that I wanted to show you was this weekly business plan. So if we go to that same plan and now we add into the goal, we had the 1.08 million. 1.08 million. We had a 30% slippage, 40% close rate, $5,500 average job size, $80 charge. We had a $90 charge rate, 38 hours a week. So now this actually creates our week over week lead estimate, book job, dollars booked, and dollars produced plan, taking into consideration ramping up at the start of the year, being really crazy in the summer, and then slowing down in the winter. And of course, we can help you modify it based on your area. If you don't have those types of highs and lows, if you're in like Florida or Phoenix, where it's more steady, can definitely modify it for that. But in general, this is now giving you the week over week target for where you need to do and what you need to produce essentially in order to make that happen. And then the last question that you really need to ask yourself is, what role do you want to be playing in your business? Do you want to still be painting? Do you want to be off the tools? Do you want to be just doing sales, just doing estimates, or do you want to be doing none of it? Do you want to just be kind of leading the team? And that kind of brings us back to the pathways. I know some of you guys have seen our pathways model before. We've talked about it a bunch of times. But essentially, last thing I'm sharing, actually not the last thing, second last thing I'm sharing here today. So with the pathways, essentially this tells you where you are and where you need to go. So if right now we're like, I can't even draw on this one because we're on the StreamYard, but if we're at startup, we're a painter still, and then going to early stage, now we are a manager, 100K to 500K. Growth stage is like a leader. So you have a production team in place. You have a sales rep, a production manager, a marketing manager. You're scaling to 2 million and beyond. Maturity stage, you're expanding horizontally. You're adding new services or geographic areas. And then enterprise stage, you've achieved full operational independence and autonomy. And we kind of say you go from painter to manager to leader to CEO to investor. And the revenue amounts are just rough approximations. They're not like perfect examples of going into each stage. It's more the role that you play in the business as the business owner. Are you a painter, manager, leader, CEO, investor? And in order to get up my podcast from last week, in order to scale that ladder, you need to be open and willing to take big swings in your business. Like actually taking a week off the tools in order to recruit great painters, or actually investing in a production manager before you maybe feel like you're ready to do it, right? But instead of just waiting until you're ready, but you're never going to get ready because you're on that hamster wheel because you're too busy, taking that step back, being able to recruit, putting together a compensation structure that works for you, that you can afford, that you're going to grow into, not being scared to make those big moves, but until you make those big moves, you're going to be stuck at the same spot. So that brings me to the last thing of the day. So one thing that we're doing is, if like you've been listening to this for a little while, you've been listening to me, listening to the podcast, but you're just not ready for coaching, you don't want to hop in the coaching program or anything like that, that's totally fine. This is going to be for you though. So if essentially this Wednesday so in 2 days, on Wednesday the 10th, because this is getting posted on the 8th, on Wednesday the 10th, we are hosting a painting contractor to CEO challenge, where it's basically a 3-hour working session where we're going to be giving you coaching on on your business for 3 hours. And basically all the tools that I showed you today, we're going to give you and do with you. So basically I'm going to put this link in the chat below. So it's $47. You're not paying 1,000, you're not paying 10,000, you're not paying anything like that. It's just $47. And on the December 10th, we're going to be working with you for 3 hours. We're going to build your profit first plan. We're going to build your production plan. We're going to give you all these spreadsheets, all these resources, and really give you actual coaching to make sure that you can hit your goals for next year. So if we just look down a little bit, we have, if you're stuck between like 300 to 700K or 300K to $1 million even, this is going to be for you. We're breaking from the chaos. We're going to help you build your plan, make sure 2026 you can crush. So we're talking about leadership, marketing, sales, team, finances. And it's not a sales pitch, right? It's a hands-on workshop. You're not going to be pitched. It's proven systems, real tools. You get the recording. And it's me and my coaches. It's going to be absolutely badass. So I really hope that you join. And if it goes well, we might do more of them. So $47, pretty steal of a deal. Less than a case of beer. And you can have 3 hours of life-changing coaching. So how about that? Less than a couple bottles of rum for your eggnog. It depends what kind of rum you get. Anyway, I hope that was helpful, guys. If it was, give me a rating on Spotify or Apple if you can. If you haven't rated this podcast yet, please do. Have a wonderful week. See you guys on the call on Wednesday, and appreciate every one of you. Thanks so much. Peace. Thanks for listening to the Painter Growth Podcast. If you want to grow your painting business, go to www.paintergrowth.com or click on the top link in the description. Talk soon.